What's up, guys? It's Meow, and I am back with another video. And this is taking me multiple attempts to do because I want to get this right as best as I can. Um, I want to come on and discuss the current discourse surrounding WWE, and from that, I want to discuss sort of my view on why why we flip flop on discourse so much, why we change focus from one thing to another, why people's priorities may not be where others think they should be, and just sort of you know, just give my take on that because just a lot of wild shit going on, and a lot of people saying a lot of different things, and I wanted to discuss it because when it comes to the discourse going on in WWE right now amongst the fans online, I think a lot of people, like a lot of different groups of people, have every right to be annoyed. And it's all for different reasons. And I just kind of want to just filter through that a little bit. So I hope by the end of this video it all makes sense to you. So with that said, what the fuck's going on for those of you that don't know? So right now, in the last couple of weeks, we had The Rock join the board that heads up the TKO Group, parent company for WWE and UFC. More of Vince McMahon's sexual shenanigans came out via lawsuit from a woman named Janelle Grant, and via her lawyer. Uh, from that, they're hoping that more people will come out and speak on their experiences with Vince and with any of his cohorts and things like that. And the report itself, which, if you want to look it up, but be prepared for what you're going to read because there's a lot of damning shit and a lot of nasty shit in there. But from that, Janelle Grant had a lot of nasty shit happen to her because of Vince and others. A lot of it seemed to be centered around sending specific images to one Brock Lesnar to get him to resign in WWE because, yeah, that's what you do when it comes to contract negotiations. Vince, you're an asshole. We already know this, though. And then you had John Laurinaitis, who was also like named in it, saying that he's a victim and that the truth will come out. You have people wildly speculating on the various individuals that weren't named but were mentioned based on their position label, and people speculating on who might be who, and things like that. Um, and then Vince resigning, leaving WWE and TKO, and this time, hopefully for good. Then you had the Royal Rumble happen, and this is where the shift starts to happen because Cody Rhodes wins the Men's Rumble. CM Punk gets injured in the Men's Rumble, so the the match that we all figured he was going to get against Seth Rollins is now off, with Seth already going into Mania injured. And then you have the Seth Cody promo on Raw, where Seth's trying to get Cody to change his mind about going after Roman. Then you have the promo on SmackDown between Cody and Roman, where Roman comes out, essentially buries Seth in his title. Then Cody comes out, lays out his plans, sort of kind of changes his definition on what finishing the story is for him, and then basically says, I want you, Roman, but not at WrestleMania. And then out comes The Rock. And then out comes all the reports surrounding that and what led up to it and just the aftermath. And there's so fucking much. But one of the biggest talking points that I've seen in the IWC, outside of the massive, and I mean massive, uproar from Cody fans and wrestling fans in general who want to see Cody beat Roman, something he should have done last year, and quote finish the story. One of the biggest pieces of discourse that I've seen are the people saying, "Hey, why are y'all directing your energy at this when you should be directing it at the Vince shit?" Um, and and talking about that. And there's other things in the world that are going on right now that people are saying like you need to be focusing energy on this, but I wanted I wanted to discuss all of this from this angle because as someone with ADHD and autism myself, I have a hard time focusing on shit. It's just part of how my brain works. But for people who aren't like me who have that, focusing on stuff is already a problem because our attention spans are so warped and are so fucked by how fast we get news, how we, get our news, what we watch, social media, things like that, to where it it's the literal embodiment of the "oh no, anyways" line from Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear, where it's like you focus on something for maybe for a few hours, maybe a day or two, and then you move on to something else. Or something else comes up that grabs your attention, and then you focus on that instead of the other thing. Now, two things can be true at the same time. Any and all victims of Vince McMahon's bullshit and the bullshit of his cohorts and whatnot, they deserve justice. Vince and anybody else that was involved that knows anything, that has hidden it, or was directly involved in the acts that Vince committed and committed some of them themselves, all of y'all motherfuckers deserve to go rot in hell. Go fuck yourselves. And at the same time, wrestling fans have every right to be pissed that Cody got screwed over. It's another case of, Daniel Bryan, and others, or Daniel specifically, where the fans have someone that they like, WWE doesn't want to push them, and the fans get loud enough to the point where WWE has to change plans. Though, to be fair, Cody was already getting pushed, and then in comes The Rock. And that's the next part I want to discuss because, and it circles back to the change in discourse because in a way, this is kind of seems planned. And what do I mean by that? Well, in the reports that came out after Rock made his appearance on SmackDown and related to the seeming change in creative direction is with The Rock coming in on the TKO board. Apparently, he's bringing somebody in that he used to work with WWE to that could potentially change creative direction, not just for this, but for WWE as a whole. Potentially, The Rock trying to take creative direction away from Triple H, who we'll get back into momentarily. But also, the biggest thing with this is that it's directly taking attention away from the Vince thing. And when you look at, and I'm not trying to assume anything here, but when you look at how Triple H responded to questions in the post Royal Rumble press conference, especially compared to the question that Cody Rhodes had to answer right before him, which Cody should not have been getting asked, let's make that clear as well, but he handled his question very, very well. Shawn Michaels got asked a bunch of questions about it during a NXT sort of media scrum, I guess, if you will, over Zoom earlier this week. He handled his questions very well. All Triple H could do was say that he's trying to focus on the positives, trying to focus on how the Rumble went, trying to focus on the road to WrestleMania, trying to crack jokes here and there, and some other stuff. And people point out he was getting annoyed with the questions and stuff like that. And when you have that, and then you look at these at the reports regarding The Rock coming in, and it seeming that The Rock going after Roman is essentially being done take attention away from the Vince thing, which it kind of has, and trying to distract from that and trying to get everybody to move on from it. It's kind of telling in a way. Again, not trying to assume anything here because I know damn well that there's going to be more that's going to come out regarding Vince, regarding the lawsuit, regarding more potential lawsuits, more people speaking out on him. Um, but it feels like this is what certain people in WWE management want is they want to take attention away from the Vince thing because and I can imagine and I can to a point I can understand it because I think people within WWE are sick and fucking tired of having to listen to and deal with anything related to Vince. But here's the problem. Ari Emanuel, the head of everything, the head of TKO, has come out and said one way or the goddamn other, anybody that was involved in this latest Vince scandal, anyone that was involved in previous Vince scandals, or knew anything and never did anything about it, or they directly did something in relation to what Vince pulled, all of you are getting, for lack of a better term, deleted from WWE. As in, you're getting fired and you will be taken to court, etc., etc. So it's a very, very, very complicated situation where you have so many things going on at once. And I think for a lot of people, they'd rather focus on the Cody thing than on the Vince thing. One, because it honestly feels like we've become extremely desensitized, if that's to the Vince shit, because we've heard so much about Vince and his crap over the last few years to add on to everything else that's ever been reported about him. I think people are tired of having to hear Vince's name in the news and they'd rather focus on anything else other than him. But when you look at it from that angle, that's kind of disingenuous because you can you can not give a shit about Vince, but you kind of should be giving a shit about the people that are affected by him. And to another extent, I've seen people say, "Well, what are we as fans supposed to do? Because we're not cops, we're not lawyers, we're not legal professionals. We can't go arrest them ourselves. We can't go confront them ourselves. What do you expect of us?" And I saw one person, and it was in a respectful sort of thread. I saw one person say earlier that the main thing is that yes, us fans can't really do anything about Vince and his bullshit. We just have to hope the legal system does its job and that Vince and anybody else who's involved gets outed and gets arrested and gets fired and gets tried for these crimes. But as fans, we sort of have the responsibility of keeping Janelle Grant's name in the minds of others and keeping it alive, that sort of discussion alive, is to say, to continue the discussion of women need to be protected, not just in wrestling, but in general, that people who commit these heinous acts need to fuck off and leave and get kicked out and stay out, which is a very hard thing to do. I understand, but it's a thing that needs to be done. And try try to keep some of the spotlight on this situation and just not straight up forget about it. Now, I don't think people are going to forget about it because again, the Vince situation is going to keep growing and keep changing, and we're going to get more reports on it. Um, and some might make the argument that with the Cody thing, it'll go away after a while. Right now, I don't think it's going away anytime soon, but I digress. With the Vince thing, there's going to be more. We know there's going to be more. There's going to be more updates. There's probably going to be more reports, more lawsuits, more everything. Because after seeing the stuff that came out regarding Janelle Grant, I'm sure there are other victims that are out there that are consulting their options. And when things get to a point where they can be reported on, more reports will come out. But I what one thing I don't agree with is I don't agree with people attacking other people about this. I don't agree with people like okay, how should I put this? Everybody has a right to be upset about something right now. Cody fans are upset because Cody they feel like Cody got screwed. Rock and Roman fans are probably annoyed because they want Rock versus Roman. They don't want to deal with the Cody fans, and are just and I've seen people talk about that where it's like y'all have turned on a literal dream match that many of y'all wanted, and it's like yeah, because of how we got to it. If Cody had won last year, or hell, if Cody had not won the Royal Rumble this year, and he wasn't involved in the title in this particular title picture, and then you wanted to do Rock and Roman, or if you decided to wait to do Rock and Roman maybe after WrestleMania, possibly SummerSlam, for example, we wouldn't be having all of this discourse surrounding Cody, Rock, and Roman. The issue there boils down to how we got to this point, the fact that Cody got screwed, and fans wanting Cody in the main event of WrestleMania to beat Roman, not The Rock, because that's another thing. Allegedly, apparently, Rock is pushing to beat Roman. Why? I don't fucking know. I do want to say though, you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. About all of this, about how you feel about everything. I think the biggest thing with this is that we need to we need to sort of like come together, just be like, look, if there like come to the understanding that there is so much going on and there's so much to focus on and talk about. And I think and there's like so many different people affected in so many different ways by so many different things. And you can be like, and kind of going off of that, another thing that I'm sure people have brought up is, you know, whatever happens between Cody Rock and Roman, this is just a blip on the radar. What happened to Janelle Grant is something she has to live with forever. And I completely understand that. I think at the end of the day, two things can be true at the same time. You can be pissed off at Vince and anybody else that was involved in what he did, not just to Janelle Grant, but to so many more people, especially women, throughout his life that he fucked over. You can be mad about that and want safer working conditions for the wrestlers, especially female wrestlers. You can want all of that. And as a wrestling fan, you can also be pissed off at a bad booking decision. And there's just this part of me that just has this feeling like, because apparently it's already come out saying that WWE is paying attention to all this. They're watching like the fan responses to this situation and could end up changing plans at some point. It could literally all be a work that everybody else is in on, where we do still get Roman and Cody, and Rock just ends up fooling Roman and then costs it. But it's one of those things where it's like it's a heat of the moment thing, and everybody's gonna react. Maybe it is all an overreaction. We won't know until we get closer to WrestleMania and things get cleared up. But in the meantime, guys, gals, and everybody in between, please, the one thing I ask is please try not to attack each other about all of this. Again, two things can be true at the same time. You can be mad about what happened to Janelle Grant. You can be mad that Vince, for the longest time, continued to get away with this shit, and his cohorts got away with shit. And you can be mad about that. You have every right to be. And wrestling fans can also be upset at a bad booking decision regarding their favorite wrestler. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, one has more priority over the other, but some may want to focus on the other thing because because for various reasons. And at the end of the day, what it all boils down to is we just got to try to help each other out, to uplift each other, and try to be there for each other during these trying times, and hopefully everything resolves itself. I think that's what everybody wants in the end, is that everybody wants all these different shit shows to resolve themselves and come to a conclusion that works out the best for everybody, one way or the other. So with that being said, again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I will catch you all next time. Peace.